Hey, welcome to Late Night with Larry. I'm Larry D, here doing it once again with my co-host Vince. Vince, give me a shout out.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Larry Studios. Larry D Studios.
The Larry Studios.
Yeah, hey, that has a certain ring to it.
That's right, and we're not cutting that out.
Whoa, maybe we should save the shot for before. But anyway, Larry D Studios, soon to be the
Cryptid Crossroads
505.
Studio. That's right. That's right. So like we always start off with, we want to hear from you. Reach out to us at latenightwithlarry55@gmail.com, or like we said before, the new email, cryptidcrossroads505@gmail.com. And we're about ready to switch over. It's coming sooner than you think, people.
Right. It's a lot more than we thought.
That's right.
But we're going to do it.
Those of you that follow us, you'll know where to find us.
Right. We're going to try to do the social media page, the whole 9 yards.
That's right.
But before we go, we're going to give you another shout out to our listeners.
That's right.
Our super fans.
Hold on.
It's that arthritis, brother.
It must be. Hold on, people.
Are you having technical difficulties?
Yeah, it slips through my
Let me
fingers.
see.
Hold on.
For some reason, my fingers are sticky all the time.
Are they? Mine ain't.
Well,
Here, open that.
You're married.
Yeah. Lotion. I won't tell
kidding.
you why it has lotion.
Just kidding. I work on vehicles. That's why the oil and stuff.
Oh, okay. Anyway, here's to you.
Thanks for listening.
That's right.
Oh, man, that's liquid gold.
Oh. I don't know why. Yeah, but see all the grease on my skin? Let that be the excuse.
So it was right. You're a greasy Mexican.
I am a greasy Mexican. My skin gets greasy, and that's that. Anyway, tonight we want to talk a little bit about the UFO, UAP phenomenon that's been going on in the world. It's just been getting more and more mainstream news. I just seen an article on the search engine Bing, and they were talking about, the UFO disclosure that the government's got to do by the end of this month. Now, I did see some of that, and they were trying to say, oh, yeah, we're disclosing it. Yeah, it's not alien life forms, and we don't know what it is, but it's not alien life forms. And
they believe it's another nation here on Earth working on some kind of hypersonic craft.
Right. Come on now.
Yeah, I don't buy that for a minute. I mean, if you've ever seen one or even some of the videos are, well, I would say most of the videos are legitimate.
Right.
But if you see the way those things move, that's not our technology.
And like we've said, we've seen them in the sky with our own naked eyes.
In our eyes, we're naked.
They were naked. And the way they move and the speed that they could just zoom off with, the acceleration is incredible.
Well, that night we were there, and the zigzag.
That's what blew my mind. It was just cruising along, and yet it didn't slow down a bit. It just zigzagged, and that blew my mind.
Right. Now, I've always said that no way a human could sustain those kind of G-forces.
No.
But the zigzag we saw, I mean, we don't have anything that could do that. Not even a drone could do that.
No, and that zigzag would have taken your insides and swashed them around quite a bit too.
Yeah. But anyway, as far as the disclosure, to me it looks like they're just throwing up more smoke.
I think that's what it is. For some reason, they just don't think that the American public could handle the truth. When in fact, we probably know more about them than they do. Now that I think about it, because we have civilians, we have people that have more eye in the sky. They may have satellites and whatnot, but I guarantee people down just using the regular telescopes report, are amateur astronomers. Let me put it that way. I guarantee they've seen more than what the military has.
Right.
Now, the military may have better, clearer footage, but we probably encountered more than them.
Right. Now, I want to ask you a question. Throughout history, we've heard stories about abductions. Now, there was a famous one here in Arizona, and was it Heber up there?
Yep. No, Snowflake.
Snowflake. Well, in that area, it's the same general area. But why is it that we haven't heard of any abductions lately?
That's a good question. I think they're still happening, and I think, like they've said, people are just afraid to come forward with it because, for one thing, it terrifies some people so much that they just don't want to talk about it.
Right. Now, if somebody has been abducted and maybe they start talking, do you think the government goes in and swoops in and, hey, you need to keep your mouth shut?
Well, on that topic, I was watching. It's a documentary I haven't seen, and it was about the Roswell crash, and it had both sides. There was one person that was on the government side, and he was, kind of the host of it, saying that, the government has disproved it. They jumped the gun by saying they had a UFO captured, but he was trying to play it off that the government was right. It's not alien craft, but on the other hand, they were interviewing people that actually were there as children, and their parents saw it and showed it to them. Some people have held the material and crumbled it up, and they said that they'd been approached by the government, and at that time the government said, you will shut up, or there's a big desert in New Mexico, they'll never find you.
Right. Now, I could believe that. Now, let's take it back to some abductions that have happened. We could do the Snowflake, or who was a couple, the very first documented one?
Betty and Barney Hill.
Yeah, them. Now, Barney was talking about some of the experiments they did on him, like I don't know if they're trying to extract his semen or what, but they just put like a suction device over and tried to suck it out, correct?
Right.
Now, if it was, as the government says, another country with those crafts, no, I mean, they would have already known how the reproduction system works.
They would have known that that's not the way to get it out.
Right. And all these witnesses, even some of them, I've heard stories where they dig out their memories with...
the deep hypnosis, the regression.
There you go. And they talk about these beings with big eyes, and no, there's nothing human about those.
No. And, when they were interviewing Betty and Barney Hill, when they were in their deep hypnosis, when they were doing the regression, several times they had to wake up Barney because as he was remembering, he was getting terrified. I listened to some of the actual tapes of the regression, and he was screaming, no. And what surprised me is one of his quotes, and it was on the tape they played. He was saying, God, help me. God, please help me. And he said, if there is a God, give me strength, help me. He was terrified. He thought he was going to die. Now, when they came to, none of them remembered what had happened. It was only through the deep hypnosis and the regression that they were retrieving the subconscious memory they had. And with Betty Hill, like you said, they stuck a big needle in her navel, and I think they were trying to get her eggs from her ovaries,
Right.
So that leads me to believe that these creatures, these beings from other planets, that when people say that there's a hybrid program going on where they're trying to reproduce using us and them, that makes me think there's more credit than people want to give.
Now, just on that topic, just something that popped into my head. If they're trying to create hybrids between maybe an alien and a human, why would they do that? I mean, if they were, we've heard how theories about how we were seeded as a slave race.
Right, by the Anunnaki.
Right. But if they wanted us as slaves, they could take us over. They got the technology.
They could, but here's my thing. And I truly believe that this is just a theory. You don't have to buy into it. There's no better way to learn a race than to become the race.
Right. And there was always a saying, like when I was in the military, we traveled to a lot of different countries. And the best way to learn the culture and learn about the people is to go into somebody's house and have a meal with them. That's basically what they're doing.
Basically, and there's another thing that says, if we want to conquer a country, a planet, or whatnot, it's a famous line that they've always used. If we can't force them out, we'll breed them out.
Yeah.
So, It's just food for thought. You know, you take it with a grain of salt and take it on your rabbit hole.
Now here's an idea. I mean, they got an advanced civilization, of course, just looking at the crafts they're using compared to ours. And we're learning here as our technology gets better, our people get weaker.
Right.
Now, maybe they're coming from a dying race where, I mean, look, who knows what their race is, you know? So maybe they're trying to hybrid with us to maybe boost them up and
it could be, but here's the thing that I've always found interesting. So they say they've had access to these alien bodies. The funny thing is, there's no sex organs on these bodies. So they must reproduce kind of, I guess, like cloning. If there's no sex organs, there's no women, no male or female, at least in the grays. And maybe that's why they want to do it. In order for them to keep populating, they need to develop sex organs. And they see that us here on Earth, we can't get enough of it, and we reproduce like rabbits. So they say, well, if they could do it, we could do it. But we got to use some of our DNA, some of their DNA, and create
I was going to say, but
new species.
You would think if they clone, it would be easier. You know, if they clone, they could. Well, we've heard it before, like especially like with kings, the royal bloodline.
Right.
They want to keep a good bloodline. So if you could clone, you could create your own bloodline.
You could, but maybe they've ran into problems. Maybe for them, cloning is just, it's come to its end and they need to go back to step one.
Maybe there's too many defects.
Right. Yeah, we don't know for sure, but these are, once again, these are theories.
Right. Now, I'll volunteer for that program, you know.
But, here's the thing that I've heard, like some of the other, especially the what's the Nordics that are the blonde hair, blue eye alien race. They say they look more human than most of them. And I've heard of abductions where someone was taken, up into a craft and they bred with them. And years later, they re-abducted them and introduced them to their space child. And some of these women that have said they've seen they were introduced to what they believe was their child because they took their sperm and whatnot. And they said, the child, I felt a bonding with it, but it didn't look like me.
Right. Now, let's take this back to the Aztec mummies. Now, they had the little mummies, which they look like little aliens, and then they had the bigger one, which they maybe thought would be a hybrid.
Right.
But it had more human features than the little ones, especially the size. But of course, the wrists only worked in certain directions.
Right.
3 fingers, and inside was eggs.
Right. It was going to lay eggs. So that I did find that kind of intriguing. But what I did found, and when they said the wrists moved certain ways and the limbs, the joints weren't fully human.
Right.
I thought if that were alive when it was walking, it would probably be like Roger the drunk alien on American Dad.
Right. But if their race is like that with their joints not like ours, I mean, how would they function day to day? How would they build their technology? And
well, and that's the catch.
Because everything starts with hard work and labor, and you build on that, build on that.
And of course, for us, our bodies are built to do hard work because we bend and we move. We
used to bend and move.
Right. Not at our age anymore. But I see your point. But, they have such a large brain capacity. Maybe they don't need to bend and move like we do. Or
here's another theory. Maybe they've tapped into the frequencies where they could use their mind to move stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Their craniums and their brain size is far bigger than ours.
Right.
And we all know that the bigger the brain, supposedly the more you have access to it, and you should be more intelligent.
Right.
And that's going full circle with the Neanderthal. People used to think Neanderthal was just a big, rugged, tough, dumb person. Now science is saying, no. As we dig up more fossil records and we look more, they were actually very intelligent. We don't know why they died out.
Right. But like my theory on that is you could have a big brain, but it's no good unless you learn how to tap into it.
Right. Of course, you got to develop it. It's like even us. If we don't start teaching a child from inception, time they're born, even to speak and whatnot, if we don't talk to that child's never going to learn to speak.
Right. Right.
The mind has to be stimulated to learn.
Right. Now, we only use like a small percentage of our brain.
They say 10%.
Now, if we could unlock more, who knows what would be possible?
And the theory is, if we could unlock more, that we would be able to communicate with the outwards and probably move things with our mind. And
Right.
the potential's unlimited. But the thing is, we don't know, because none of us on this earth have yet been able to do that.
Well, that's what they say, but there's always been those studies. I've seen them where people could bend a fork with their mind, unless that's all garbage. You know, Russia was real big in studying that.
Right. Yeah, that I'm not sure about that. I mean, I wasn't there, so I'm not going to say
Right.
it's bullshit.
Now, to stay on, not really getting off topic, I want to talk to you about I was watching a special last night. It was something I already knew about, but some new details came to light in the special. And what I'm talking about is the Tic Tac video.
Oh, okay.
Now, they call all these craft Tic Tac, but there's one in particular we all know that the Navy caught with their fighters.
Right. It's the famous video that got released.
Right. Now, the Tic Tac, at the beginning of the video, it's just there. They're filming it. Then it decides to take off, and then they lose it.
Right.
And they did an interview with a radar guy who was on the carrier. I can't even remember the name of the carrier, but he was in control of. He's basically the one that would identify the craft all around. So he saw that, he couldn't identify it, but he said at one point that craft, I want to say, was going like 20,000 miles an hour or something like
Right.
that.
I did hear that. Did you watch? Was this the CBS 60-minute special?
No. This was on Travel Channel last night with that guy who does a paranormal fake or fact.
Oh, okay.
I forget his name, but he was a journalist, and his dad was, maybe he worked for the CIA, because I think his dad did too.
Yeah,
and his dad is the one who convinced him that aliens are real because of what he saw working for the government.
Right. Now, they disclosed a similar piece of information on the 60 Minutes interview about the Tic Tac when they interviewed the two fighter pilots that were the ones chasing it and capturing it. Now, those pilots said that this thing was doing, and you say 20,000, they said 30,000 in excess, because it traveled 60 miles within
seconds.
Within seconds. It's like, boom, it was there. And they're the ones that's why he said, holy shit, what is that? Look how it's moving.
Right.
As it was traveling at these top-notch speeds. They also talk about how it's rotating as it, and I found is that part of stabilizing the craft, that it's got to rotate at those extreme amount of speeds? Oh no, this is all,
Or maybe it rotates so there's not a lot of heat on one area for a long time.
It's a cooling mechanism. Right.
Possibly.
Could be.
Now, what I found interesting was the government had that video for 14 years before it was leaked.
Right. Well, that just goes to show you that the government are hoarders.
Right. Now, when this happened, the radar guy, he's been retired for some time now, and he came out and he said, we're not supposed to talk to it. He said, but I don't care, because you people got to know what's going on.
Right.
And he said after they filmed that, 2 helicopters landed on the carrier. He don't know who they were. He said they looked like Air Force personnel.
Right.
But they came and took all the hard drives, all the recording, everything they've recorded, and took everything.
That's right. I remember hearing that. They came aboard, collected everything, and just on and off, they grabbed everything and took off.
Right. And he that's kind of weird, but he came forward and he said it's true. Everything you saw in that Tic Tac video.
Right. Now let me say this. If the government didn't know or think this was alien craft or it was a threat, they would have never done that.
Right.
They would have just said, oh, well, what'd you guys see? All right, well, we'll look at it when you come to port and dock. But
well, see, that's the funny part. This guy, the radar controller, he said he tried to talk to his boss or even his other coworkers, and nobody, they're just like ignored him.
Right. Well, of course. I mean, look at 14 years ago. It wasn't as popular as it is today, and everyone's accepting it now. You got more people believing it because more people are seeing it, because everyone, like we've said, everyone has a little computer with a camera in their pocket, and we're just seeing more and more footage. So how can it be dismissed?
Right. Now, on that special, there was another Tic Tac video that I was not aware of. Are you aware of the one from the helicopter?
No.
Okay.
That one I haven't
There
seen.
was a helicopter crew. I believe same thing. They were out in the middle of the ocean. No. I believe it was it was somewhere in the Midwest, Idaho. But anyway, it was in the land. They were doing a training mission.
Right.
And something was coming up to them. They saw the lights and stuff, and they said it was coming rapidly. So rapidly that he tried to take the helicopter down.
Right.
But his controls were dead. And they think whatever this craft was lifted them, because they rose 10,000 feet in a matter of seconds.
I think I did hear this story.
And they did experiments with helicopters, and
there's no way.
no way it does that on its own. No way.
Yeah, I did hear this story. I mean, well, there you go. Think about that. These anomalies that happen, I don't think they're just coincidences, because as you try to replicate it, they can't do it.
Right. And if you see a light or what you think is a craft, that's one thing. But if it drags your helicopter up 10,000 feet in a matter of seconds,
that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's Star Wars stuff there, the tractor beam.
That is Star Wars stuff. And there again, we're talking about extraterrestrial life. I just read another article that scientists once again have said, they are finding so many Earth-like planets out there, but they're saying they're light years away. Well, if there are Earth-like planets out there, who's to say that there's not life on them?
Right.
Because water is a source of life, at least for us here. And I'm going to think it's a source of life, period, anywhere else.
Right.
And maybe that's why these aliens come and they enter our water too. And we were talking about that on the previous podcast. Why do they come? What's so special about our water that they come in, they hang out, they go deep, bottom of the ocean floor where we can't even get because pressure, and
Right.
We're just now being able to get down with these remote control submarines to those deep pressure levels without putting humans at risk.
But you think if they have a craft that could travel 30,000 miles an hour, the pressure of the sea would be nothing.
It's not. But, what are they doing down there at the bottom of the sea? Because I've seen videos where they've had images from above the water, and you could see the round craft like just making a path in the sand as it moved, and it's not moving fast. It's like just creeping through. What are they doing? Are they collecting mineral samples, water? What are they doing?
It might be both. I mean, maybe they found our minerals usable for their aircraft. Who knows? Maybe they're taking water back, or maybe that's what propels their vehicles is the hydrogen.
Maybe. Who knows?
But I think no, I don't think it's a hydrogen. That's one theory I've heard, because they got to do something. They're tapped into some kind of power in the universe where they could just, like, you hook on a zip line and go.
Well, and I'm taking that back to 0-point energy, which Nikola Tesla, if you want to read about that, he's the only one that really tapped into the 0-point energy. And he said it, if you could tap into that, you don't need a combustion engine. There's all the energy you could ever need, and you're surrounded by it.
Right.
An abundant, unlimited supply of it.
And he was another one who claimed to have alien influence.
As according to the Martians communicated with him.
Right. Now, I heard a story of another man in Florida who tapped into something similar to that, because he made like this wall around his house with huge rocks. He did it by himself. And they found a tripod in a box in his yard.
Right.
You've heard about that, right?
Yeah, he built the Coral House, the Coral Castle in Florida, and they're wondering how did he levitate these huge stones How did he place them so that a stone weighing 2 tons could spin with the touch of a finger? It's yeah.
Yeah. But, you never know. And we're still learning a lot about this. I think people like Nikola Tesla, they were light years ahead of us. And
They were.
Now, he was a genius. I'll give him that. He was a smart dude.
Yes.
But like he said, maybe he really did have alien influence. I mean, we talked off mic earlier. I don't know, it has something to do with it, but the Red Rocker, Sammy Hagar,
Right.
he claimed to be linked into aliens when he slept. And who knows? Because a lot of these songwriters who write these amazing songs, they'll say, it's not me. It's like channeling through me.
It just came to me in a dream, or I just woke up at 3 a.m. and started writing. And yeah, I mean, and they write some great songs,
Right. Yep.
But back to the aliens, I don't know what the government's going to disclose at the end of the month. They've already just kind of started showing us that it's going to be the same old song and dance, blaming it on other countries. It's China, it's Russia building, supersonic craft. But I'm going to call that BS because you know what? If that was true, we would know about it.
Right. Now, and we talked about this off mic. There was a picture that surfaced. We both saw it. It was supposedly an alien base in China.
Right.
Now, it was a good picture. If it's real, I don't know. But I told him if China had that technology already, they would have stomped us and they would have taken us over.
Oh, of course. If they had that technology, they'd already have Taiwan back.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm like, so when they say there's an alien base in China, I'm going to take those pictures with a grain of salt.
Right.
Because we know China doesn't want to divulge anything or let anybody in the world know what they're doing. They only let people know what they want to know.
Right.
What makes them look like they're world citizens playing fair on the
not.
world market. And we know they're not.
Well, for example, COVID, I guarantee you that we have no idea how it actually affected them.
Yeah, we don't, because they're not going to give us the true data. And I seen an article today on Yahoo that said COVID may have been in China since 2019, and they weren't telling anybody. It just got to the point to where it mutated and spread wildly.
It got out of control because
Right.
we all seen the news videos where they were literally tearing up the roads to Wuhan so no one could go in or out.
Right.
And that is, you don't do that until a last resort.
That's extreme measures where you are going to physically. They basically, put martial law in place.
Right. Well, they're communists, so it's always in place. So
Yeah, martial law is, and these state orders that were given by our governors in this country. Don't fool yourself. That was martial law too.
yeah, it was. Why do you think everyone was staying home?
That's right. That was martial law. They just used it as governor's emergency orders.
But I was a rebel because I went to work, or was I a fool?
Wait. Yeah, I did too. Were we fools?
I don't know. Well,
We were essential.
we were essential, even though these guys not working got paid more than us. But hey,
Right. Hey, that's
something
another
different.
story.
Yeah,
But yeah, so there was no downtime for me during the pandemic.
me either. It was business as usual.
That's right. Essential workers. But for the rest of you that did stay home the entire time, you obeyed martial law.
Yep, you sure did.
Yep. You did. You did.
Well, you got a little taste of what this younger generation wants.
That's right. The communism.
Well,
the democratic.
They call it socialism.
Yeah,
but
they call it democratic socialism. Now, when socialism takes full swing, there's no such thing as Democrat in the word.
Right.
It just becomes full-blown socialism. And if you want to wait in the bread line, go ahead and take it.
Yep, but I think you should go somewhere that is already socialism
Right.
and test it out.
There you go. Why don't y'all take a summer vacation to Venezuela? See how that works out.
There you go. Hey, they're gonna have the Iranian speedboats down there.
Hey, there you go. Hey, maybe you could go take a tour of those.
Right, just be careful. You might get shot out of the water.
That's right. Anyway, that's what we wanted to share with you tonight. We may have got a little off topic, and if you're a socialist and we offended you,
Oh, well.
Oh, well. Sorry.
This is America, baby.
That's right. America.
No, but on a serious note, no, that's honest to God truth.
It is.
We both served in the military to protect the country we love and the way of life that we love.
That's right. I want to go to McDonald's when I want, where I want, and I always want them to be stocked with those delicious French fries.
Right. And I want to work my ass off and be able to save money and make my life better and not have to give half my paycheck away.
That's right. Half, all of it. You'll keep maybe 10%.
True.
That's why in socialism, no one wants to work.
Yep.
Yeah, everyone thinks everything's free until it collapses.
Yep.
That's
Anyway.
Russia. Anyway, we're getting off tangent. Those are our political views, and we don't care. Anyway, peace out.
Peace.